For the weekly Rotary meeting of the biggest Rotary Club in the multiverse universe of the country, wherever you want it to be. We're all glad you're here. We'll kind of celebrate a special birthday today. We have special guests. We have cake, all kinds of stuff. We'll talk about that birthday here in just a minute. But to start off with, Rainier, would you come up and lead us in the pledge and our inspirational moment?
It's been said that the key to happiness is gratitude. So it is with that thought in mind that I'd like us to reflect on what we're grateful for. Like our health, the time we can spend with loved ones, and for the truly meaningful friendships we have made over the years. Also, for the wisdom and experiences that have shaped our lives, and for the opportunities we have been given, and for the good fortune that has led to all of us being gathered here today. There are friends, there's family, and then there are friends that become family. Let us be thankful for the friendships we have made in Rotary that have become family. And we approach this day with a spirit of gratitude and a commitment to making a difference. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Rainier. Okay, let's see. Billy Canoe, come on up here and tell us about visiting Rotarians and introduce our guests for us, please.
Fellow Rotarians, I am happy to welcome District Foundation Point Loma's James Morrison here.
Hi, James.
Do you have any other visiting Rotarians you'd like to introduce? All right, thank you so much.
Yes.
Ask for guests.
Oh, yes.
I'm not in that much of a hurry to get out of
I
here.
got to go. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Hello, I'm Suzanne Franz. Whoop, on this side. I'm in the front of the room with a microphone. Hello, I'm Suzanne Franz, and my special guest today is former Coronado Rotarian and a beloved Girl Scout, Sally Bixler. At the request of Jane Braun, I'd like to introduce Susie Owen, a fellow wine industry professional and a former Coronado Rotarian who's rejoining the club. That's great.
I'd like to introduce, second time, my special guest, Julianne Morse. So if any of you in here have not walked up and shook her hand and then said hello and introduced yourself, get on the job.
Hi, President Pat, fellow Rotarians. I want to introduce my special guest, Megan Keller. This is her third meeting in 3 weeks. I'm very proud of that. And I'm just so glad she's here and can't wait for the meeting. Hello, Mr. Cook.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, hi. I'd like to introduce my special guest, Missy Clark, and she's visiting us a second time.
Hi, I'd like to introduce President Pat.
Hi, I'm President Pat.
And Julie and fellow Rotarian. I'd like to introduce my special guest, Rebecca King. Rebecca is a non-practicing attorney because she's too busy volunteering for so many things. Maybe she'll have time for our club now that her son has graduated because she was a really active COSA volunteer. So now that he's graduated and performing on the East Coast, she can join our club. So that's my special guest. Thank you.
Fellow Rotarians and guests, my guest, someone who doesn't really need to be introduced at all, but Kelly Purvis, who is, to get the title right, Senior Management Analyst, Arts and Culture at City Manager's Office of Coronado.
President Pat, fellow Rotarians, for the third time, Paul Gerke, a special guest.
Good job. Good job. Excellent, excellent. Okay, does everybody have a cell phone?
Yeah.
All right, see if you have your cell phone. Everybody check and see if you have your cell phone. If you don't have your cell phone, do you have a $20 bill? I don't know. This one's it's got messages on it from Tinder. Would you like your cell phone back?
He still didn't know. No, he doesn't.
Yeah, that was cheaper than the call we were gonna make it. Okay, we have some red badges today. I want to know the name of the high school you graduated from and what your favorite song was in high school. So, Alex,
That would be fun.
what high school did you graduate from? This will be interesting.
I graduated in high school in Ukraine, was number 40. And the
Did you have a favorite song?
favorite song that was I got to think about it.
Okay, well, your wife's had plenty of time to think about it. So, Nadia, let's ask you, same high school?
Yeah, also in Kharkiv, not same high school, but also in Kharkiv.
and lots of songs. Maybe прекрасная Далёка. Does it say anything to you?
I know.
That's fine. I'll give a fight.
Oh, okay, here's the challenge. Sheriff Doug says if anybody matches his song, which he's keeping under his hat, he'll donate $20. Shannon, high school, favorite song in high school?
I graduated from Luella High School in Locust Grove, Georgia. And at the time, it was probably like, I was in a Queen phase. I was like, oh yeah, Queen's the best. So probably Bohemian Rhapsody or something.
Yeah.
All right, Billy.
I did not graduate from high school, but it's okay. And my favorite song was Hotel California.
None of us can ever leave. Brent Davis. Brent here? No? Okay, Michelle.
Graduated from Point Loma High School.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of Point Loma music. I was dating a musician, and so his favorite song became mine, Stairway to Heaven.
Kathy McDonald.
I'm a proud Coronado Islander, and Elvin Bishop rocked my soul. That's what
Samantha, Ryan, are you here singing?
Yes,
There you are. There.
I went to Palm Desert High School, and my favorite song was "Get Low" by Lil Jon and the Eastside Boys.
It has your favorite dance.
Younger.
I can't remember the song, but I did graduate from Acklehart High School in Hollywood.
Can you hum a few lines of
I
it?
can't.
That's a few years ago.
Never did that.
No worries. Well, any of them. You want to tell us what your favorite song was?
Sort of go and pink carnation.
A white sport coat and a pink carnation. I'm just gonna leave that alone. Okay, we have a bunch of things to talk about and some things to do today. First, I want to introduce Emily McGovern. Emily, stand up. Emily's a very new member of our club, and the board appointed Emily to be the head of our public relations program, and she'll become an ex officio member of the town. So she will be your go-to person if you have any publicity, news, newspaper, internet, any of that. She's the center point for it. There's a whole group that she's working with, and she'll parse it out to who needs to go. But I just want y'all to introduce you to Emily. Emily has been in the club less than a month.
Should be your Facebook manager.
Yes, all that. She'll work with Suzanne on that. So,
And Steph,
all right. So we have that. Number two, some of you have asked about our efforts with the hurricane relief on the East Coast. You should know, I think we've announced this once. The club has donated $1,000 to the Rotary Zone for North Carolina. We have a link on our webpage where if you want to donate money to our foundation, we're going to amalgamate it and send that on to that. So we are working that to help those folks that have been struck by those terrible tragedies on the East Coast. And that's where you can go if you want to donate through our foundation. That's number two. Lots of really good news. Where's Chris Clever? Chris's wife, Barbara, has been undergoing chemo for 4 months. And she is done and is cancer-free. So
Diagnosis, but everything looks good. I'll tell you, she is one tough gal. I mean, the Rotary had their international golf tournament here. She decided it was better to be nauseous on the golf course than on the couch. She played 4 rounds of golf in her last week of active.
more than one.
Well, wishes and prayers work. We appreciate it.
I want to note, she's not here today, but Jean Marie Gallagher's daughter finished her chemotherapy, and I understand has gotten positive thumbs up so far on everything she has going through. You should know that Ron Vernetti is doing well and is out of the hospital at home, so that's good news. Okay, let's move on to a couple of other things. We have a couple of other big announcements, but I want to walk through these things real quick. Next week, bring a box of cereal or a jar of peanut butter for $5. Choose. We're gonna amalgamate this to take it down a week from tomorrow for our Christmas and October program. I have a caravan of at least 3 other organizations that are going with me. Our club is going to do their own shopping that day and meet there. So we should have 6 or 7 organizations that participate in this. We our wonderful new PR director is going to be on television about this program. And she's made arrangements for the news media to be there to cover us when we're there at 10 o'clock a week Thursday. Peanut butter, cereal, get rid of those Cocoa Puffs that you've been in there for, and a $5 bill. Choose. Okay, that's that. If you have any interest in meeting the RI president, we're going on the 21st, very early in the morning. See me. Dave Johnson's memorial service is November 9th. That information has been disseminated. Just a reminder if you want to do it. The Limbs of Freedom visit has been moved to the 22nd of November. See Luann if you're interested in going to Mexico for basically a half a day. There are 4 spots left for the Father Joe's breakfast that we serve twice a year on November 13th. That's something you're interested in. You need to see me or see Bob Griffin and get signed up for that. Then and then there are 2 spots left for Saturday, the November 2nd for the Camp Surf dinner that we're going to. We have 2 tables and we are too shy of filling those 2 tables. We want to go see Suzanne Manuel. She's orchestrating that for us. Now, if I could, we had very, very unusual experience this past week. I don't know when the last time this Rotary Club had a child born to a member of the Rotary Club. But it happened twice this past week. So I would like to welcome Solana Summer Cushing, born on the 11th at 9 pounds 1 ounce. And then Sloan Ella Shearborn, born on the 13th at 8 pounds 9 ounces. Big babies. And the board voted last night to buy each of them $100 savings bonds. That's our gift. Okay, let's see. Let's do some of the around town stuff. I'm not sure what we got out there to talk about, I guess. So Ed Doherty is a member of the club. Many of you may not know him. He comes occasionally. He lives on A Street. I've known Ed forever. Ed was a lawyer in Kansas City. Ed is in Vienna with his wife, who's the second one over. And the person in between them is my cousin Robbie, who owns a wine store in Vienna. And I point this out to you because Robbie loves to entertain company.
I don't know.
So if you're going to Vienna, let me know and I'll hook you up. He'll be glad to meet you at his wine shop. They spent the better part of 6 hours drinking wine. I don't know when the evening was like. But anyway, so I point that out just for everybody's general information. They had a great time. Okay, let's see what else do we have going on here around town. We had the beach cleanup. That went great. We had a great group from the high school. There were a whole gaggle of them, and boy, they did a terrific job. Heidi, who's not here, kudos to her for orchestrating that for us. Let's see what else do we have going on? There's the babies. There's that. Is that all we got? Yeah, that's all we got. Okay, and then we have big stuff. Okay, that's fine. We got other stuff going on. We won a STEP award. I think some of you saw it on Facebook. The awards over there. Stephanie Anderson was kind enough to go with my wife and I to pick that up over at Point Loma, where they honored us and 2 other people for our efforts over the years. They didn't honor me; they honored us. And let's see, what else did I have here? I have an announcement for a very special birthday. So this is not necessarily timely because I can't control what day of the week we meet. But this is important to most of you because 3 days ago, was the 249th birthday of the United States Navy. And so I just thought it was appropriate that we celebrate the United States Navy. And Daniel Stewart is as one of the senior military officers here. Sorry you got stuck with it because Brett Bennett's not here. We have this balloon for you. We have cake over here, if anybody wants cake. And then the Rotary Club sprang for something that the Navy can always use, and that's a new aircraft carrier. Now, unfortunately, it contains the three most feared words in the English language. Some assembly required. On behalf of the United States Navy, on behalf of Rotary, I'm glad to present this to you, Daniel Stewart. Happy birthday to the Navy.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Even the army.
It's so simple, a 2-year-old.
I did pay attention to what the age level was. So, okay, here we go. John Matthews, will you want to come up and do our induction, please?
Jane and Susie, would you come up, please? President Pat, fellow Rotarians and guests, the induction of a returning member is indeed a great opportunity to have her reunite with our club. I'd like to ask Jane Braun to introduce our returnee and give us her classification.
So many of you know Susie Owen, and she is rejoining us today. She's going to give her Who Am I in just a few minutes. And her classification is retired from being a wine sommelier, I'm just going to say.
Susie, we welcome you back to the best Rotary Club in the universe. We're linked to a global organization of volunteers dedicated to improving the world. Our club thanks you for your willingness to share the values of service and fellowship in Rotary. As a special member of the club, we bring fresh ideas, renewed enthusiasm, and greater fellowship, which leads to outstanding service. One of our major goals in this club is service above self, which means participation by saying yes when asked to serve, hence becoming part of our amazing people of action. Susie, please give us your current Who Am I to bring your fellow Rotarians up to date on the past 3 years.
Thank you. I thought for a minute I was going to avoid having to do this, but I guess not. Good afternoon, President Pat, fellow Rotarians. Seems a little unusual to be giving my Who Am I speech after 15 years of starting in the Rotary. 2009, Mike Kopp sponsored me and I started. And I was here until 2021. I've now been retired for almost 5 years after 36 years in the wine industry. I retired January 2020. You remember that one, right before COVID. Since then, I've been pretty much traveling a lot. It was my passion before I retired, and it continues to be so. I've lived in Coronado for roughly 40 years, and asked my husband, how long have we been there? 40 years. I met Doug when he was living here, and we decided to make it our home. We have one son who attended Coronado School that is now 30 years old and traveling the world with his girlfriend, a backpack each. I guess he takes after me. They'll finish their year in December and will hopefully settle back in California, and that remains to be seen. We also have one dog, Carl, many of you know. He came for a weekend and has stayed for 3 years, so we are failed fosters. I think he's about 15, but seriously, I think he was about 4, and they just told us he was 12. I have a couple other volunteer situations I'm involved with. I volunteer at the airport. Actually, Ginger Cox was when I met her at Rotary and at the airport, I thought, gosh, that looks like a fun thing to do. So when I retired, I started working at the airport because I'm one of the few people that can say I love airports, but I do. I love helping people navigate them. I also volunteer at the San Diego Food Bank Senior Distribution Center. I was just down in IB this morning, and I'm on the board of PAWS. I'm busy in retirement, but thought there might be time for one more activity, Rotary. So although I left in June of 2021, I've always paid attention to what is going on. Through many conversations with Jane, among others, I've been really impressed with President Pat, and Rotary seems more fun, vibrant, and necessary than ever. I always believed in service above self, whether I was in Rotary or not. My first go-round in 2009, I was active with 7 Paul Harris fellowships. Ooh, that's tough. As a family, we were Santa and his helpers for about 5 straight years. Doug was Santa, I was his helper, and Darren was our driver. I worked low tide ride and stride with Bernie and Ginger.
every year, and they graciously let me leave early to run every year. And actually, a few of us, Jamie, Mary Berta, James, started the wine tasting back in Al Obram's backyard, probably thought about 2010. And look where it's grown to today through everybody's stewardship of that particular wine tasting. Although I no longer get 10 free cases of wine a year, which shockingly didn't go very far, I'm still anxious to get back and help with the wine tasting. I also did a few fun wine tastings. Tom reminded me about one of them when I was in Rotary the first time around, and maybe we can do some of those again. In the end, I think it's the people that make all volunteer work special, and Rotary of Coronado might have the most special people of all. Thanks to Jane for sponsoring my reentry, President Pat for taking me back, and Tom Mitchell for running me through Rotary 101. And I'm very happy to be back. Thanks.
It is with great pleasure, and on behalf of the board of directors and all of our members, we welcome you as a returning member to the Rotary Club of Coronado. Jane, please give Susie her updated Rotary pin. Fellow Rotarians, please stand and give Susie a warm welcome back. So we ready to go. Thanks so much. Welcome, Susie. Michelle, you want to come up and do your Who Am I and your Rotary Minute?
Although I don't know about following that. Great.
Okay, so I'm going to start with Rotary Minute, and then go on to my Who Am I. So we all get these, right? We all read them. This one struck me as being particularly women focused, maybe the color had something to do with it. So I wanted to take a look and see what women are joining Rotary for. Also, I wanted to mention for the 16th consecutive year, Rotary Foundation has received the highest rating, 4 stars from Charity Navigator, which we believe, really? Yeah, okay. Still can't hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, 4 stars from Charity Navigator, an independent evaluator of charities in the U.S., which really kind of hit home for me. It told me that I'm in the right place. I want to service above self. It's something that I've always believed in, and obviously this is where it starts. So going back to magazine and women, research shows that women find a variety of network opportunities for Rotary. 61% of female members who participated in Rotary fellowships did so in part to find professional contacts. 84% of those people who did said that it met their expectations, which is huge. I work with numbers all the time, and 84% we all know is huge. 65% of female members who participate in Rotary action groups did so in part to find professional contacts. 85% of those women also said that it fulfilled their needs, what they were looking for. That's where Rotary comes in. Besides offering a way to make professional connections in mixed gender settings, Rotary membership provides many other networking opportunities. About 2/3 of female members who participate in Rotary action groups, fellowships, or friendship exchange did so in part to make professional connections. One of the strongest things that we can do for each other in Rotary is mentoring. Only around 27% of women in senior leadership positions around the world, not Rotary, report ever having had a formal mentor, compared to 38% of men. Mentoring is something that I believe in very strongly. It's something that we do at my office, and it is a wonderful way to grow the next generation, rather than being a single point of failure and walking out at the end of whatever your career is. Mentoring makes sure that we don't lose that wealth of information. So ultimately, it's clear to me that membership in Rotary confers something perhaps even more valuable than professional connections or business lessons, a sense of possibility that many women might not have felt before they joined. So that's my Rotary Minute. So me, I'm Michelle Everett. President Pat told me I had 2 minutes, so I'll make this quick. I've been thinking about what to say about myself. I haven't traveled the world, saving the underprivileged. I don't have any wild Hollywood stories to share, although there is one when I broke into O.J. Simpson's house, but I'll save that. True story, but I'll save that for another time. So together with my daughter, I'm raising my 2 teenage grandchildren. 4 of us live here in town. I lived in town for 26 years. Both my kids were born at Coronado Hospital, went all the way through Coronado schools. this is home. When we knew that my daughter was going to regain custody of her two children who had been kidnapped to Australia by their Australian father, 11 and a half year international custody battle. But when we found out that we were going to bring them home, we wanted this to be home because this was home for my children. We wanted to give my grandchildren pretty much the rest of their childhood that we could. They're now 14 and almost 16. So we missed a lot of the little stuff. We didn't get to do Little League. We didn't get to do soccer. We didn't get to do a lot of those things. So now my focus is on doing those things which I can with those kids. They are amazing teenagers and amazing people. I work at Nyla Pacific, formerly Spavor, up on Catalina, on the way out to Fort Rosecrans. My business card says I'm the executive assistant to the commanding officer, which takes 2 lines. I need longer business cards. I've been there 22 years, 14 of them supporting the commanding officer. I'm on my 7th CO. I figure I probably have another 2 or 3 left since I'm raising teenage grandchildren. Retirement is not in my future. Fortunately, I love my job and the people I work with, and they are the most supportive. I made 30 trips to Australia during our custody battle. Not one time did I catch any grief at work. It was, you need to do what you need to do, we'll take care of you. So yeah, they're gonna have to carry me out of there. I'm not leaving. I'm a hobby baker. You might have noticed, and an insomniac. So I will frequently be up baking when you all are sleeping. At one point I had 4 KitchenAid mixers on my counter. My daughter made me sell 2. I'm down with 2. So the carrot cupcakes that you see over there that are being passed around, please help yourselves. I brought in 10 dozen. I didn't know how many people we would have, but there should be enough for everybody and maybe take a couple home. Yeah, hobby bakery for 10 dozen is God for everybody. I bake almost every Sunday and bring baked goods into my office every day. I'm kind of afraid there might be a mutiny if I don't. I think I put myself in the box. Anyway, I hope you enjoy eating them as much as I enjoy making them, and that's
So at this moment, the challenge has now finished the red band requirement. I am going to take off the red band and she. Now you take her. So she is now a full-fledged member of Coronado Rotary. All right, James Morrison is our visiting Rotarian here, who also happens to be our district foundation chair. He's going to make 2 special inductions. James.
So anytime you don't want to be in Coronado, we could use 120 cupcakes. Welcome over at Point Loma. Does everybody like my shirt? Yes. I'm collecting the full set, and this is a great ride. You should do it sometime because I know you don't. I know you have to work it, except for Susie. She gets to run after the event. So our event is the Ride the Point in Point Loma. 11 years, never rode it. So here's the secret. If you want to do a bike ride with Rotary, go to a different club. So I'm the Paul Harris Society coordinator for the district, and I've got special recognition to present here today. So Paul Harris Society is Rotarians who will pledge $1,000 per year to the foundation. It's not a commitment. We don't take your credit card. Rotary doesn't follow you year after year. To make sure you do it, you might get an email from me, just a friendly reminder, of course. Who started in 1999 by Wayne Cusick. Does anybody know what club Wayne was in?
No, I don't know.
Blythe. Rotary Club of Blythe.
Life. That's what I was gonna say.
So going at the end of that meet, or at the end of that year, we had 55 charter members join the Paul Harris Society. Fast forward today, we have 30,000 in 152 countries. The United States has 15,000 of them. And here's the key point. The Paul Harris Society members, just that group alone, is only 2% of the world population of Rotarians. but they contribute 20% to the foundation. So last year we did Rotary Foundation's 427 million. We distributed 1,100 grants worldwide, 470 for districts. Our district 5340 was one of those. And we distributed 324 disaster grants. And if you've ever looked at the website for RI, for the foundation, now we have a whole category for disasters. So it started off with specific ones. We had one for Ukraine refugees, but now it's open. And they're taking donations right now for the hurricane damage on the coast. I'm glad to hear you donated to 33, zone 33 and 34. That's where the 6 states were. So coming this year, we just got done writing checks out to 98 projects in our district for 141,000. And this club got their check, I believe. Maybe John knows this, for 6,000 for Limbs of Freedom. Overall, you've done 19,000 just over the last couple of years. So I always ask this question. Your major fundraiser is the Low Tide Ride.
Yes.
What's the Rotary Foundation? What's their big event? Their big annual fundraiser.
Oh, yeah.
That's one topic we do, but in general, where's the fundraiser? Where's it held? What do we do? The answer is we don't have one. We have one. It's all year long, and it's people who donate to the foundation. So it's the Paul Harris Fellows. It's every Rotarian every year. That's how we get the money. So in this, in this club, we have 168 Paul Harris Fellows. Raise your hand if you're a Paul Harris Fellow. Okay. The Quest Society, we have 13. Paul Harris Society, 24. If you're a Paul Harris Society member, raise your hand.
Well, I think I am.
Take a close look at those members, and they have this little thing on their pin. It should say PHS for Paul Harris Society. Everybody wants one of those. They're in high demand, very envious of getting one. If you want one of those and you're envious, I put that on your table. So check that out. 16 benefactors and all-time giving. I love to report this. I especially like to report it for Coronado. All-time giving to the Rotary Foundation, $2,936,352. Give yourself applause for that. But here's the thing, so you gave a lot to the foundation, but you also take it away. So over the years, you've done district grants to a total of $74,950. So all those good foundation contributions, they come back to your club. So I'd like to recognize 2 brand new fundraisers for the Rotary Foundation. Frederick, where's Frederick? And Shannon, would you join us up here? Frederick. Yes.
Frederick, yes.
Then I'll have to reprint this certificate. So find out which one is here. So on behalf of the Rotary Foundation and District 5340, it is my distinct honor to recognize the 2 newest members of the Paul Harris Society. I've got one word there. And this is for Shannon. So often we have we have members who join the Paul Harris Society, but they're not they don't necessarily make contributions right away because it is a pledge. Shannon signed up and he contributed right away, so that makes him I'd like to present his first Paul Harris Fellow. Thank you very much, and keep up the good work.
Okay, Lee Marie. Introduce our program, please.
This is a speaker that I've wanted to have at our Rotary Club for almost 3 years. Jessica Berlinger-Taylor has had a distinguished career as an art historian, a curator, and an art journalist. She's a bicultural and bilingual art professional. She has curated numerous exhibits and commissioned more than 49 works of art. She is currently the director of the Stewart Collection at UC San Diego, which I believe is probably San Diego's best kept secret. It has more than 20 outdoor pieces of public art, and today she's going to wow us with what they do at UC San Diego. Jessica?
Hi, everyone. I'm really amazed at the energy of this group and in awe of all of the work you do. Thank you so much for having me today. So yes, I'm Jess Berlanga-Taylor. I moved with my husband to San Diego 2.5 years ago from Mexico City. I grew up between Mexico and the UK, and I'm now really enjoying getting to know San Diego and its wonderful communities. And it really is my honor to be speaking with you today. We'll keep it short because I know there's not a lot of time. And it's also on purpose so that it creates some mystery around the Stewart Collection, because the first invitation I'd like to extend to you all before I jump into our conversation is for you to visit the collection. We would love to host you at the UC San Diego campus and give you a tour of our unique collection. I agree with Jean-Marie that it's really one of San Diego's best kept secrets, and you may realize why. So I'll give you a little bit of the history around Stewart Collection first. You have brochures on your tables that you can look at, and at home if you're interested in reading more about the artworks. Also over there by the beautiful carrot cupcakes that Michelle, is that right? Yeah. That you baked. There's more information on our new projects for Stewart Collection. So we're moving forward with new commissions for 2024. So if you're interested in taking more cupcakes and one of our brochures and learn more about what we're doing, they're right over there. So the Stewart Collection started in 1981, and it was thanks to James Stewart da Silva, who was a local businessman in La Jolla, that we now have this amazing collection on the campus. He was fascinated by what public art can do, and he traveled to Europe and to the East Coast and had seen different public art projects in different cities and thought that it was just fantastic that people could have access to art on the streets, in plazas, on campuses, and you just come up to this art without even having to go into a museum, buying a ticket, doing all the things, right? And public art has really been a fascinating and very special proposal of the United States to the world. We see public art in many, many different cities across the US and how it has helped communities come together. It's always interesting artworks that people can discuss about. They have interesting stories behind them. So James Stewart da Silva was very interested in bringing public art to San Diego. He used to walk and ride his bicycle and take his dog to the UC San Diego campus and thought, what a better place, what a better context than this campus to bring public art to the community. He invited Mary Beebe, who was then living in Portland, I believe, to become the founding director. And Mary retired 3-4 years ago, which is why I'm now the director of the Stewart Collection. So if you see me pause a little bit, it's because my Spanish and my English brain are kind of struggling a bit, but bear with me. So we can go into the next slide, please. Many of you may know Niki de Saint-Phal. She was an artist from France that lived, I think, the last 25 years of her life here in San Diego. Absolutely loved this city and these communities. And you probably have seen her Queen Califia garden, a couple of artworks in Balboa Park. And this was our very first Stewart Collection commission. I want to share what's really unique about the Stewart Collection and that's different to other public art projects that you may have seen is that every single work in the collection has been commissioned. So that means that it's not work that's been acquired or that was pre-existing or that has been gifted by donors, but we go through a very rigorous process of curatorial research, of artist studio visits. I have a fantastic advisory board, and each one of these projects is crafted specifically for the site and the context that it's in. So these are all large scale, mostly outdoor projects, and Nikki's was the very first one. This is called Sun God, and it was placed on campus in 1983. And as I mentioned, each one of these works has a very special story to tell. So I'm not going to go through all of them. We have 22 artworks in the collection. All of them are by globally renowned artists. So this is a very important aspect also. These are artists that have been recognized with major prizes that the art world has given them. They've participated in biennials like the Venice Biennial, which is the most important global art event in the world. So we have very exciting artists that have come to campus and developed these beautiful projects. So Sun God is all about color, joy, celebration. It's an homage to the sun, which is such a beautiful, magnificent presence in San Diego. Nikki Sanfal was very interested in mythology, in the female body, and in these old folk tales and origin stories, and she brings all of this into each one of her artworks. We'll go to the next slide. I might skip a few, but this one is by a renowned artist called Robert Irwin, who lived in San Diego and is the pioneer of what we call the light and art movement. So Robert Irwin worked really hard at getting rid of as many materials and information as possible in his work. He would really strip his work down to very basic elements like you see here. It's this blue mesh, a fence, and then the steel poles. And he decided to plant some, I think they're called ice blue violets, at the bottom of some of the poles. And that's basically all he used for this artwork. But when you go to campus, what happens is that you're standing in the middle of this work, and depending on the time of day, you'll really notice the changes in the light and in your surrounding. So a lot of Robert Irwin's work is not your typical painting or sculpture. It's very much about perceiving your surroundings, your context, and ultimately yourself. So it's really about meditation and becoming just very conscious of space and time. We'll go to the next slide, please. Richard Fleischner, who did La Jolla Project. Some of our students call this Stonehenge. So yes, a lot of these artworks have nicknames that students give them. And Richard Fleischner did this beautiful project that is all pink and gray granite stone from the East Coast. And it's basically a vocabulary of architecture. So you have lintels, arches, columns, windows. He was very interested in the Egyptian and Greek influence on Western architecture. So he's making a reference to all of this history in this artwork. The next one. I want to give enough time for some questions and comments. Sorry, I could be
Trees. Carry on, please.
I think we're going to skip to the next one. I just want to share the next one.
Something Pacific.
Something Pacific. We'll skip to another one. So I really want to stop at a couple. Again, if you could go to the next one. So Vices and Virtues, Bruce Nauman, who was very interested in how neon could become part of art. And he was very well known later on for some of the greatest works in neon that you can see. This was his first major project in the world, and it's very large scale, called Vices and Virtues. It's a fascinating piece that wraps around one of the engineering buildings at UC San Diego. Inside this building is where engineers do a lot of tests with machines and earthquakes. So they're measuring the possibilities of having earthquakes and how much these buildings can take. And Vices and Virtues, these are the 7 vices and the 7 virtues. They're superimposed. They're in different colors. And he's talking about these moral challenges that humanity has, right? And the back and forth that we may experience between some of these different ethical and moral guides that we have. It's a combination of 14 different colors. So it's usually best seen in the evening. We'll move to the next one. And again, we'll move forward. The next one. This is a fascinating piece by Michael Asher. And it's not that the ones that I'm skipping aren't, it's just that I want to focus on some that I think you may find particularly interesting. But Michael Asher was known as the father of conceptual art. So he was very well known for his work in using language. He would go into archives and use a lot of information from archives to develop works on paper. You can't really find any artworks that he created using objects except this one. He influenced a lot of young artists, especially from Los Angeles and other parts of California, that have gone on to be fascinating artists. So Michael was all about what we call institutional critique. So he was interested in looking at different kinds of institutions and questioning the power of institutions, what they do, who works there, why they work there, what's the purpose. And here he decided to place this stainless steel water fountain that was bought basically at a Home Depot, and then covered it in green granite. A lot of these artworks play with the idea of what art can be, right? This one in particular is a little more complicated. You wouldn't immediately think of this as an artwork. So it's more the idea than the actual object. It is a usable water fountain, and he placed it in the middle of the campus where you have the Chancellor's Complex, the flag of the United States, and the founding plaque of the Marine. So he's connecting his ideas to these major institutions that make up what is known globally as a very powerful country, right? And people do come up, they drink water, and what's fascinating is that you bend down when you're drinking water, right? So you're paying an homage to these great institutions. Mm-hmm. A lot of our students call it smart water, so they'll drink it before exams. We'll go to the next slide, please. This is Snake Path, which is a beautiful project just outside our Geisel Library. Geisel Library, if you haven't seen it, is a monument to brutalist architecture by William Pereira. And the artist for Snake Path, Alexis Smith, a wonderful Southern Californian artist. She was a big supporter of women's rights and loved learning about different cultures. And she wanted to place her piece here. So each artist that's invited will choose a site where they want to develop their artwork. These are all permanent artworks. And so Alexis chose this site just outside Geisel because she really wanted to create a conversation between art and knowledge. So the snake is one of the most powerful symbols around knowledge. She's relating the snake to the biblical conflict around how Eve and the snake basically stole knowledge from the gods. Alexis was also very interested in literature. So when you can see that large-scale marble book in the middle of the snake path, and that's Thomas Milton's Paradise Lost. And there's a beautiful quote that she's using, and she's communicating to students that, using Milton's quote, that paradise is within us. She knows that when young people go to university, it's such an incredible opportunity. You meet friends, they become your family, you're surrounded by all of these resources, that it's very much like a paradise, right? Of gaining access to knowledge, opening up your mind, connecting with brilliant discoveries and innovation. And she realized when she spoke to some of the students that they would feel a little bit lost when they left university, and they didn't really want to leave because they'd made a home, right? And so the message that she's sending is all about how paradise, we carry it within us. It's not outside, but it's in each one of us. And we can always share it with others wherever we go. So we'll move on to the next one and tell me about timing, because I know that. Jenny Holzer, this is the green table, and she placed this huge green granite table with benches to the sides, and it's full of different aphorisms that talk about different histories around the world. So she's talking about women's rights, the history of politics in the United States, love, food, travel, you name it. It's all in there. These are all aphorisms that Jenny herself developed. She's an artist that became very famous for her work with language. And she hopes that all of these aphorisms will spark debate amongst the people who use the table. It's a table that you can use to have lunch, to have a drink, to study, just hang out. So she was always very interested also in the relationship between art and architecture, and would place beautiful projects in different parts of the US. She worked very closely with Qualcomm Institute here a few years ago and did an amazing artwork that was placed on their facade. But this is very specific to UC San Diego in terms of inviting anyone who wants to sit at the table to use any of the aphorisms to spark a debate or a conversation. We'll move on to the next one. We'll skip this one, the red shoe, which is beautiful. Kiki Smith. This is a beautiful piece that Kiki decided to cite over at the School of Medicine. She was an artist that grew up surrounded by her father's artwork and sculptures. Her dad was a very famous sculptor called Tony Smith. And they were also a very devoted Catholic family. So Kiki brings a lot of those Catholic values and histories into her work. Here you can see that she's placed this bronze sculpture of a woman with her hands open in a Madonna-like pose. She's standing at the top of a tree trunk that's been cast in bronze. And this is a water fountain. And it's a wonderful artwork where you not only get to experience what you're seeing in the artwork, but also the sound of the water makes for a very different connection to the work. Kiki was also a big reader and knew Grey's Anatomy very well, not the show, but the actual medical book. And so she is, when you go behind the sculpture, you can see that the artist has left the back and the calves open, so you can see the muscles of the body. So there's a lot of commentary here around what our biggest organ in our body is the skin, and how strong and both vulnerable it is. She's also placed a series of pins on the breast of the woman, on the chest, and these make up the sign, one of the zodiac signs. So Kiki was also connecting the celestial with the terrestrial, right? A lot of artists, when you see them use this vertical axis, they're talking about connecting earth with sky, and that's a very spiritual comment also that the artist is making. The tree trunk is fascinating because it was cast so well that you can see all of the bites and trails that insects had created on the original tree trunk. And that was something that the artist really wanted to bring into the work because she's connecting the skin of the human body with the skin of the tree. So there are all these symbolisms in the work, and I'm just giving you some very quick bits of information in the hopes that we'll see each other on campus. We'll move on to the next slide. And again, we'll continue to the next one. So Bear. Bear actually woke up this morning with a veil, a bride's veil. So we don't know what went on there. But Bear is really loved by so many on campus, and it was placed here within the School of Engineering in 2005. At the time, the School of Engineering was going through a major renovation of its buildings, and Tim Hawkinson, who's an artist who's based in LA, wanted to contrast the very sort of modern, sleek-looking, very hygienic look of the buildings of the School of Engineering with this very rough qualities of boulders. So he went out and took, I think, months to find the boulders that he needed to create Bear. He did absolutely nothing to the stone. There's no work done to the stone. It's just what pieces he selected, how he assembled them. He worked with engineers to put all of this together. But you have a lot of expression. When you see it in person, you'll notice how Bear is leaning towards you. Its head is to the side. When he was invited to develop a project, he was very interested at the time in animals. And he was going over and over the idea of creating an animal for the Stewart collection. And one day he walked into his daughter's bedroom, who was, I think, maybe 8 years old at the time. And the first thing he realized was there was this teddy bear in her daughter's bedroom. And he thought, I'll do a teddy bear. And that's really, these very simple moments of everyday life can have such an effect on our ideas, right? And so that's really how this idea came to become Bear. And then I'll tell you another story at another time, but this was pretty difficult the boulders were pretty difficult to bring. They had to close the freeway down. They brought these trucks onto campus. So these are huge, huge projects that take a lot of people to realize. Barbara Kruger, but we'll move forward. So I want to get to Fallen Star.
Oh my gosh.
Fallen Star from 2012 is by South Korean artist Do Hosa. And it is one of our most beloved artworks on campus. It's, as you can see, almost falling off the Jacob School of Engineering building. It took quite a while to make this happen. A lot of permits and documents and bureaucracy, but it's there, it hasn't fallen. And when Doho arrived on campus in around 2008, he visited the campus for the first time, and he realized that almost everyone on campus, around 80% of the people who study, do research, and teach there are not from San Diego. There's this very interesting international population that makes up the people on campus. And he immediately remembered when he moved from South Korea to the East Coast to study visual arts at the RISD School of Art and Design, that it was such a shock to him when he changed his home. And it was such a different culture. Even the scale of the buildings, the way his body felt in these new spaces was just very strange for him. And so he thought that maybe that experience was something that a lot of people on campus, especially students who are moving from abroad or from different parts of the US, would relate to. So he literally said that he felt like a fallen star, like he'd been dropped from the sky into another planet. And so this is how Fallen Star came to be. When you come, we will go up to the 7th floor and we'll go into the house. Oh. So yes, and it's full of stories inside. It has photos, decoration, ornaments, a sofa. So the idea is really that people can, they see the house. It might remind you of your grandmother's home. But at the same time, because it's as you can see, it's on 2 different angles. You feel very strange inside. So you're going through this very strange experience. You feel both comfortable and in a familiar space, but your body is kind of like, so we'll move on to the next slide. And again, that's a beautiful sound piece. So this is quite a different work that we have at Stewart Collection, and a lot of people ask, like, what is this? But it's an artwork by Mark Bradford, whose most of his work has been dedicated to the history of African American people in the United States. And he cited this in the old part of campus, in the Revelle College area, and it's all about telecommunications. When he was doing his research, he saw that the original master plan for the campus included a major telecommunications tower that was never built. So he wanted to bring that history back to the present. This is blinking all the time, Morse code. And it's what hath God wrought, which is the very first message that Samuel Morse sent when he invented Morse code. I and a lot of people find it very relevant to what is happening today in terms of artificial intelligence, for example, right? So this is an interesting project. Sometimes we test students and they have to figure out what it's blinking, right? Tell me when I need to, because I can go on forever. So. Yes. Sorry to leave you in the middle of the presentation with a lot of artworks that we haven't seen, but we'd love to hear about your questions and comments.
So let's take a couple of questions.
My big question is, the two running, where is that?
Which one, sorry?
The two running violet
V-forms.
Yeah.
It's in the middle of the eucalyptus grove, in the central campus area, just beside the faculty club. Does that? It's sometimes hidden by the eucalyptus trees. Yes, but it's very close to Geisel.
Thank you very much. It's wonderful. I see in the back here, which I've been thumbing through, that there's a map and a lot of information. Do you have tours?
We do have tours, so we have a wonderful group of docents. I also give some of the tours in my team. And so let us know if you want to visit. We're also working on developing an app. Our website has a lot of videos, so you can learn more about each one of the artists' projects. So there's 3-minute videos on each one of these artists is talking about their work. Let us know if you want to visit, and we'll organize a tour for you. Of course.
Thank you very much. What a terrific presentation. Jean Marie is going to coordinate a tour. If anybody's interested, see Jean Marie. She'll orchestrate it for you. Remember next week, peanut butter, cereal, money. Choose one. Go out, have a great Rotary week.